Wa alaikum salam. Oh, you want to see? I make video. Uh-huh. See? This is my niece. Tell them your name. You make video. They telling you assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. Ah, good. Alhamdulillah. Oh, it's next one. Alhamdulillah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wa afdalu salatu wa tamu taslim ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wa radiyallahu ta'ala an sadatati tabi'in wa ulama al-amilin wa a'immatul arba'atil mujtahidin wa muqallidihim ila yawmiddin. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh for everyone who gave the greetings. Man, alhamdulillah. It's 3:35 p.m. out here and it's hot. I was even tempted to start this video with no glasses, no kufi, no nothing. I'm outside, alhamdulillah, on the porch. I wanted to do a video during the daytime because, you know, we're 5 hours ahead of you. And so if I do it you know, like after work hours for y'all, it's real late for me. Like if I do my videos like around 7, 8 o'clock, let's say like 7 o'clock or something like that, it's already 12 p.m. over here. So, you know, like when I come on the Black Imams Roundtable from here, you know, that's starting at 2 a.m. for me. So, you know, so I wanted to make some videos during the daytime. I promised a lot of people that I would make more videos and share more information on this trip. So I'm trying to keep my word. Please let me know if the audio and the video is clear. I know the quality isn't going to be as good as in America, but as long as y'all can hear me and the video is semi-clear, alhamdulillah. Abdul Haq, Imad Hassan Ali, Halal Family Homestead, Hind, Taulia, Anisa, Allahu Akbar, the families in the building. Ismail, alhamdulillah, good quality, good, alhamdulillah. Again, my router in the house, you know, we on Gambian time, you know, in America, we talk about CPT time. You don't know nothing about no CPT time, subhanallah. Right? Just to get something fixed, you know, like if you got a problem with your cable or your internet, you know, in America, you know, you call the people, or you don't even have to call anymore. You just, you know, go on the chat or you go on the website and they say, okay, we're going to have someone out to fix it. Well, you know, you pick the days and then, you know, they say, okay, we'll be out between 8 and 12 or 12 and 4, whatever the window is. Ain't nothing like that happening out here. Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Khalifa. Alhamdulillah. Y'all don't miss me, man. Y'all like, I'm glad he gone. Y'all good. Y'all in good hands. Hassan Ali there. The Majlis there. They're holding it down. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Man. because it's actually nice out here, but it takes a minute for your body to acclimate, get used to the weather, you know. So I'm sweating all the time. It don't matter. Ooh, about my wife just gave me some attire. Allahu Akbar. Ah, alhamdulillah. Attires, you know, green tea, the way they make it, whole gang of sugar, mixing it, pouring it over and over again till it gets real foamy on top. Sometimes they put little mint in there. Tastes good. Alhamdulillah. If y'all have any questions, ask. I'm going to mention some things, but this ain't nothing formal, you know. It's nothing formal. So if y'all have any questions or comments, or even if something I posted relating to Gambia, you can ask that too. Alhamdulillah. Oh man. Bilal, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Khalil, oh man. I came on at the right time. Allahu Akbar. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Nadim, Scott, Allahu Akbar. I'm really happy now. Scott, you on here? Allahu Akbar. How is it to buy a crib over there? The process easy? I don't want to say yes. I don't want to say no. First, just like with everything else, the cost is going to depend on location. Just like every city on the face of the earth, if you near certain things, it's going to be more expensive. If you further away from certain things, it's going to be cheaper. I think it's really cheaper to buy land and then build on the land here. So the process itself is, I'm hesitating because it's a little more convoluted. Yes, they have real estate agents. It's a little bit more convoluted. And I really didn't, I knew it, but I didn't understand it until, because see, you got a lot of Gambian YouTubers. And most of them are young and they live in the UK and the United States. And I'm saying that because I listen to them a lot, because since they live in the United States and their audience is mostly American English speaking, they know they not only because they speak English better, but they ask and answer questions that they know we trying to know. They're basically talking for us. And so I'll give you an example. I may ask, somebody from Gambia a question, and they will answer the question, but the answer ain't really what I'm looking for. But then I'll watch one of these videos from these, American-based or UK-based Gambian YouTubers, and they may cover the same topic. Then I'm like, aha, that's what I was looking for. Then I take that information back to the people I know. I'm like, such and such on YouTube said such and such and so and so. It's like, yeah, they're right. I'm like, well, I asked you that. I'm like, well, I told you, but I didn't know that's what you was looking for. Like, okay, I'm doing it. So the point I'm saying all that to say that I got a better understanding of the problem sometimes, because when you check to see what's going on, you keep hearing about, these land scams. These people be scamming. People be coming there to buy land, and they buy the land, and somebody comes along and says, they own it. And so, people be scamming. A lot of the time it don't be scamming. It's just that people don't understand how things work. Because you got two things going on. You got the Western system, the post-colonial system, in this case, the British system at work. And then you got the traditional customs at work at the same time. And sometimes they don't line up. I'll give you an example. You got what's called the Akala or Akalo system here. So it's basically the tribal chief of the area, and he's responsible for, who owns what land, and he knows. And so And then at the same time, you have a system like that, like we know in America. You know, uh, a land is owned by somebody. They have a deed. The government has a record of it, and the land is demarcated. Like your land stops and starts here, right? And so sometimes when people come to buy land, you got to go through both systems. You got to make sure that whoever traditionally owned that land, signs it over to you, the Akalo. He's like the chief. And then you have to, once you clear that system, then you have to go to, you know, the government, the registry, and, get them to register. Why does this thing seem like it's getting dark? Because my eyes getting bad that quick. Let me see something. It just seemed like it got dark. Uh, I don't know. It just seemed like it got dark here. Hmm. Yeah, so you go through this uh, system, and then you got to basically go over the system with the approval from the traditional people, and then uh, continue the land transfer, through the government. Usually, a lot of times when there's problems, is maybe you got the deed, from the government, but you didn't get cleared from the traditional person, the akala. Or sometimes maybe the akala transferred, but he didn't know that somebody before him, there's some miscommunication going on. So that's why I hesitated when I said it's easy or hard. You just have to make sure you cover your bases, and it's not just so cut and dry uh, like we have in America. Just kind of imagine it like imagine if the natives, Native Americans, the so-called Indians, imagine if they still had power and they still controlled their land, and the English, European, or not what we now know as American settlers came and put their system. Just imagine they didn't do genocide and they were still living, and then then they came and put their system on top of it, right? Imagine how crazy it would be. But in America, they just killed most all the natives and rebranded the black ones as black, and then you got the fake $5 Indians who's really white people pretending to be Indians, and the natives are far few and in between. They don't really control anything, so you don't get that, right? So let me go back, see what I missed. Yes, they have real estate agents. That's what we miss as black men. That sweating lowers our blood pressure. It was like that for me in Jamaica. I was sweating like crazy, but it felt good. It does feel good, actually. Yeah, it actually does feel. I feel like because sweating is like urinating or like defecating. You getting all the toxins out of your body, and so like me, my lifestyle is way more sedentary than it was before. So uh, I feel like I'm holding in a lot of toxins. When I come here, I'm sweating. I ain't tripping. There's more chance to take showers, make ghusl, and just keep sweating. Alhamdulillah. Wa alaikum salam, Malik. But once again, they do have real estate agents. They have lawyers and everything. Will you transition your entire family there? Yes and no. I don't look at it the way most people do. Like you either got to be in America or you got to be here, either or. You make hijrah or not. I don't know. I think the earth is spacious, and I think we need to set up both sides of the Atlantic. And this is something that Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, what I understand from him, that's one of the things that he advocated. He said that we have to build new bridges, and I've even named a lot of our endeavors after that phrase when he said we have to build new bridges, meaning connecting the African people here to our people in the United States. So for me, uh, That's not my plan, but if stuff goes a certain way, I keep that option open. But as far as like making the just relocating the whole family, no. I do wish that uh, I would have been on it earlier, because I would have preferred that my children spend their formative years here as opposed to in America. So, are you going to purchase an air conditioner for the spot you're at? Did they forget to set you up with the fan? Yeah, heat is real. No, we have fans inside. That's why, Uh, but me personally, I don't want an air conditioner. You know, and the air conditioner, it's not like a big deal here, but most people don't have it. And I don't know what it is, but the ceiling fans here, they're very good. I mean, I wouldn't bring no ceiling fan from America here because it just like a waste of time. But like it's an immediate difference when the fan comes on, and you appreciate it when the power goes out. Because when the power goes out, it's like, oh man, open the window if it ain't already open. When that fan comes back on, ah. So yeah, I could purchase an air conditioner, but I don't want it like that. I don't know. Maybe it's me. I'm tripping. You know, I don't necessarily have a problem sweating. You know, I brought about a dozen rags like this before I came. I just wipe my sweat off. I ain't tripping. Is it easier if you have family over there? Meaning, if you take a wife from there, depends on what you're trying to do. It's always easy if you have family that's here, because you don't have a lot of the uh, issues with uh, trying to get into the swing of things. Just being a complete stranger. A lot of people just come here and boop, they just come here and don't know nobody, and just they have to rent hotels in the tourist areas, and nothing in any tourist area in any country is normal to that country. And so they're not really, when you stuck in a tourist area, you're not seeing the real people. You seeing the hustlers and people trying to get money. And maybe because the sun is I'm try to switch the angle of my camera. Let me see if that makes it more bright, because it's getting dim. Yeah, that's what it was, but it's still dark over there. That's a little better. They're not answering the question from the vantage point from what we understand as exactly. You understood what I meant. Like, when I'm asking the questions, because my English and their English is not the same. And so they're not picking up on the nuances and the subtleties that I'm really trying to get at, that really can't be expressed with words. So the answer to the questions is usually not satisfying. But you got one of them that's been living out there for a long time and knows how we think. If we ask them people, them Gambians, the same questions, they're going to answer it a little different. My intendant wants a wife from Africa and also have me as his wife here. What advice would you give him, and what advice would you give me? My advice that I always give, even if you look at, our Half Your Dean shows and stuff like this, I would always recommend, even if you take Africa out of the equation, marry a person for the person. Don't marry because you want a second wife. And I think that's a subtle point that a lot of brothers miss. You know, but I don't think they understand what's being said. A lot of us, we want to marry for the sake of marriage, not for the sake of person. And if you marrying for the sake of marriage, then you really miss what the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said about marrying for deen. Because you just want to get married because you get married. The person is just, is just a means by which to satisfy your desire to get married. So if you just want to get a second, third, or fourth wife because you want a second, third, or fourth wife, the person having deen and all that kind of stuff may or may not factor in. You just want another wife. And I get it, for us, it's a novelty. You know, a lot of us, we ran the streets and we had multiple girlfriends and we used to have to lie about it. Now we become Muslim and it's like, wait a minute, I could do the same thing and I don't have to lie. Where you going, Habibi? To my wife's house. Where you going after? Where you going next day? To my other wife's house. You're right. Sometimes in our subconscious, I think we, uh, it's refreshing because we can be who Allah created us to be. But sometimes we go overboard and we don't, we, how can I say? We get caught up in the what and forget the who. So my advice in that situation is get married to the Imad. Marry Sister Anissa first before you start worrying about everybody else. Shukran. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum. I'm making a video. Alhamdulillah. Show your face real quick. It's my son Uthman. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah. Got anything to say? Nothing really. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Wife pour me some watermelon. Alhamdulillah. I'm not going to eat on camera. My name not Imam Lukman. I'm just going to eat a little bit. Shout out to Imam Lukman. Yeah, I took a shot at you real quick. Yeah. So that's my advice. My advice could be right and it could be wrong. Take it or leave it. This is my opinion. Are there any descendants of the Shehu there or anyone who adheres to the minhaj of the Shehu and his family? I can't say absolute yes and no because I don't know everyone here. But you really find that level of Islam, you really find it in the villages. You don't find it like where I'm at now is adjacent to like the tourist area. So you got, like since you're from Philly, I just give you an example. You got some masjids in Philly that's on what they're on. And then you got masjids like Jamia or those masjids, like closer to center city. They're not really so much on what they're on. It's just it's a place where people could come and pray. It's close to downtown and whatever. But so to answer your questions, there could be, but I don't know. I will tell you that the way we look at like black people versus white people versus other people is kind of the way that they look at the different tribes. So like most of the people here are Mandinka and Wolof, and then you have the Fulani, what they call Fula. And so the Shehu was Fulani. And so And so, so you asking me that is, it's almost like asking me, are there any Fulani here that's on the manhaj of the Shehu? Could be, I don't know. Do you have some Qadriya out here though? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Mustafa. Let's see. Speaking from your personal experience, it's hard to have a different wife in two different countries. That's your experience, brother. He ain't asked you for your experience, Khalifa. I think in a lot of ways it's easy as well. Like I said, it depends on who you're marrying, but sometimes the distance is better. Sometimes when wives are close to each other, so a lot of times that could be better. Every situation is different though. Kept jumping. Totally, I see you. Uthman, what a handsome cutie. He might see this on Facebook later. Yo, Uthman, you better not be friending that sister either. Uh, how much was the trip? How long do they give visa for? Okay, how long is the trip? Depends on where you're coming from. There's really no direct flights from the United States, and uh, the price is so volatile right now because of COVID. So you can literally maybe find a ticket for about $1,000, give or take, round trip, and then a few hours later, you see that same ticket for like 3,000. So when you buy in tickets, and it's always volatile, but it's more volatile now because of COVID shutdowns and you know, you know, bailouts of the airlines, and you don't know if the flight you book is going to be canceled before you take it. So there's so much stuff going on. So the prices is fluctuating a whole lot. So yeah, are the women in Gambia willing to be a babysitter if they marry a husband? I got some women in the house now. When we ask them, hook them up with your husband, hen. Like, you putting it out there. So, hen, let me ask you this: if I get a sister right now to say that she'll marry your husband and babysit some of the kids, you be cool with Hassan Ali getting another wife? Subhanallah, said my device is overheating. Subhanallah. Let me try to find some shade. Let me try to find some shade because the sun had moved. Let me go over here. Hold on. I'm gonna go by the wall. I don't want my device to overheat and shut down in the middle of the video. Try this. I'm by the compound wall now. All right, here we go. Hopefully it won't overheat and shut down. I wonder if y'all can see me. Y'all still here? Wow, y'all still here? Hold on. Subhanallah. I thought y'all would have been gone. Hold on. I didn't know y'all was still here. All right. I'm in the shade. I actually put my phone in the refrigerator. Uh, nah, I didn't ask none of the women. That the app shut down because the phone overheated. I put the I put the phone in the refrigerator and came back. I would put it in there for a few minutes and just came back. Hopefully we're good. Hold on. Let's see. Allahu Akbar. The whole phone didn't shut down. It's just the app that shut down. It's overheating. Only thing you can do is make emergency calls. SubhanAllah. So I actually put the phone in the refrigerator for a minute and then came back and tested it and opened it back up and y'all was still here. Alhamdulillah. See if I miss anything. Hold on. Yeah, right. That's deep, right? I don't mind the heat and sweating, but uh but the device can't take it. Does the weather be in the hundreds? Yes, I'm pretty sure the weather is probably 100 right now. Uh I didn't check the temperature though. Yeah, 100, is easy out here. Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Habibi. Just peek your head in. Go ahead, peek your head in. You ain't gotta give yourself you ain't gotta give us a reason. Mi casa, tu casa. Snack break. No, I ain't asked one of the women yet. Waiting for a response from you, and I ain't really trying to get them in trouble. But if you're gonna give your blessings, I might as well facilitate it. Uh, take you with me next time. Alhamdulillah, inshallah. Well, since your heart is in Africa, you plan to migrate there eventually. Why not marry a sister from there? Get her a green card and bring her back and forth with you. So you about to get yourself in trouble, you man. I be trying to tell your brothers, man. Y'all be talking yourself right into a problem. You need to be quiet. I be doing stuff for y'all, so I get in trouble. Y'all don't get in trouble. See, like I mentioned stuff about like the female, the female mood swings. I said something so y'all don't have to say nothing. So I take all the heat and get all the victory all about it. Y'all don't have to say nothing. Just take notes. What is the percentage of Muslims in Gambia? Numbers vary, but I think the lowest number I've seen is 96%. So it's even a higher percentage of Muslims than Gambia. I mean Ghana, excuse me. I think Ghana is like 89 or something like that, 85%, something like that. I mentioned Ghana because everybody talks about Ghana. Maybe I should have moved over here. I'm too close to the trash. All these flies. Mm. And that's good that you asked me about the percentage of Muslims because one of the things I did want to mention on this live was something that it's a it's a miss. Man, these flies. I'm too close to the trash. Let me move over some. Hold on. This is our trash right here. Can you see? So sometimes we leave the compound gate open, and the goats and stuff come through, get what they want, and then we call for somebody to come pick up the trash. So, what was I saying? Yeah, I want to like hip y'all to what's going on. Like, you know, in America, as Muslims, you know, especially Black Muslims, a lot of our non-Muslim family and friends, when they decide to get woke, as we say now, or conscious, a lot of times they learn a lot of lies and myths, which it makes them see Islam as like an Arab religion that was forced upon the Africans. And like a lot of us, especially because of the type of Islam, that so-called Islam, that we express in a different methodologies that we cling on to, it only verifies what they believe about Arabs and Islam. Just think about it. Just think about a non-Muslim, a Black person, a non-Muslim in America, and they begin to learn about their history, and they're going to start picking up certain books. They're going to start watching certain YouTube channels and certain speakers, and these people are going to be talking bad about Islam. And then they're going to go into their neighborhood every day and notice that the one that's selling them the poison, meaning at the corner store or the bodega, that's the one that's helping them pollute their minds with, the blunts and the 40s and, and all the drug paraphernalia, that these guys are Arab. At one time, there used to be other ethnic groups, but for right now, for a long time, and especially as you move further west in the United States, even the liquor stores, most of them are owned by different Arab ethnicities. So the person that they see that's working or hurting them is an Arab. They've been lied to in some of these conscious books and speeches. They've been lied to, and they think that Islam was forced upon Africans. And then they see us who are Muslim, and they say, these guys don't even care about Black people anymore. They just want to be Arabs. A lot of those people are repatriating, word that, we might say, in the Islamic context, make hijrah, right? A lot of these people are making hijrah back to Africa for many reasons. Black people getting killed in the street by other Black people, by the police not getting prosecuted, sometimes not even charged. Life is real cheap. The Black blood is real cheap in America. A lot of people are noticing that, and a lot of people are leaving. They're like, I'm just going to up and leave and go to the motherland. But a lot of these people have these thoughts in their mind. They think that Islam is just another methodology used by the oppressor to enslave Black folks. That's what they think about Islam. They don't know no history. And the history that they've used, that they think they know, has been taken from their context. So obviously the history that they're using to justify their opinions has a little truth in it, but it's mostly lies. And so a lot of these people are coming back to Africa. And then when they get here, they realize that most of these people is Muslim. Oh man, all of these people are brainwashed. So a lot of them, believe it or not, a lot of them in their mind think that they know more about being African than the Africans that been on the continent ain't never left. So a lot of them in their mind think, okay, the same way I was brainwashed by Christianity in America, my African brothers on the continent have been brainwashed by Islam. And so like when they get here, they look down on them. They think they're brainwashed. They think they're coons. And then they see a lot of the same things that they saw in the hood. They see it here. Like in Gambia, you go to a lot of stores, see a lot of Lebanese here, see a lot of Chinese here. The Chinese, they come in here, they got all kind of fishing contracts and building contracts and stuff. See a lot of Germans here. See some Indians here. And they looking at all of that, what's going on, the same way they look at all of the people who exploit black people in America. And so I'm saying that to say, I wanted to quote Sheikh Uthman Den Fodio. Tagamadahullahu bi rahmati ameen. May Allah envelop him in his mercy, ameen. I wanted to quote him, and he has a book called Bayan Wujubu Hijra al Ibad, the discussion or exposition regarding making hijra on the servants. And in that book, he has a section where he's talking about the different types of black people in Africa, the categorizations of people. So remember, the Sheikh Uthman, he died in 1870. About 200 years before him, it was another sheikh from Timbuktu, Sheikh Ahmadou Baba. A lot of people get it confused. Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, Senegal. Sheikh Ahmadou Baba, Timbuktu, a little bit earlier. Sheikh Uthman Den Fodio, he quotes Sheikh Ahmadou Baba, and he quotes from Sheikh Ahmed's book Al-Kashf Kitab Al-Kashf Wal-Bayan Li Asnaf Al-Majlub Al-Sudan, you know, an unveiling and a clarification regarding the different categorizations of black people, right? And he quotes Sheikh Ahmed as saying, Innahum aslamu bila istila'i ahadin alayh. He said that verily they, meaning black people, embraced Islam without being forced by anyone. He said, verily they embraced Islam without being forced by anyone. And he said this in Arabic, right? It's extremely important. Why is that important? Because here you have a well-known scholar considered to be a mujtahid and a mujaddid, the reviver of his time, who's a student of one that they also considered to be a mujaddid. A long line of reputable scholars. And just a little bit about him. If I ask you all, when did Christopher Columbus discover America? What would you tell me? And we know he ain't discovered. He got lost and bumped into America. What year was that? Can somebody tell me real quick? I wanna connect some dots for y'all. Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Isa. What year was Christopher Columbus found in America? I need to know y'all still there. Alhamdulillah. Because the comments slowed down, you know, after my phone overheated, couldn't take this heat. Alhamdulillah. 1492. This is that was an important year. Why? Christopher Columbus was coming from Al-Andalus, Spain and Portugal, when, you know, what they call, you know, al último suspiro del Moro, the last cry of the Moor. You know, they call Moor the Muslim Africans who were in Spain, right? I'm not going to go too much into that history, but uh, Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand toppled the last stronghold of the Muslims in Spain in Granada. And Abu Abdullah, or who they call Abu Abdul, basically turned over the city to them in a treaty or a truce to avoid fighting and killing because they were overwhelmed. There's too much division and stuff going on, right? They had a celebration. King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. They had a celebration, and literally, I'm not exaggerating. How are you? I'm just following you on. Oh, you follow me on Facebook? Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah. I'm helping my people understand everything over here, you know? Yeah. Alhamdulillah. When are you going back? A few weeks. Because I'm discussing with a woman there. So I'm discussing with her. So she like this African women when they put in English. So she bin bin. Yes. Yeah. So I told her I will tell you, you can take it and send it to you. Okay, no problem. Okay. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Here's my beautiful day, but he was actually in his house watching me do this right here. Allahu Akbar. So yeah, so King Ferdinand, Queen Isabella, they actually had a party. Meaning when you at war, you conquer, you still, you know, and you got the spoils of war. So they got the spoils of war of the Muslims. Christopher Columbus asked Queen Isabella to fund his trip, right? And she funded his trip. She financed his trip. The money for Christopher Columbus's trip was literally the spoils of war, the ghanima that they took from the Muslims that they conquered in Granada. Think about it. That's 1492. That's how he made his trip. Now, remember, the Muslims are no longer in control of Spain and Portugal. There was no country named Spain and Portugal at the time. It was called Al-Andalus, right? The Iberian Peninsula. Now, that's 1492. 100 years later, 1591. Think about it. Who's the first major people to involve in the slave trade and all this stuff? It's the Portuguese. Remember, there was no such thing as Portugal at the time. So from that time up until 1591, right, the Europeans got so strong that they actually built up army and started making incursions into Africa, and they were the first ones to do slavery before everybody else, the Portuguese. Why is this important? Because the Portuguese entered Africa, and they had Moroccan soldiers. Morocco, Africa, Muslim. So the Portuguese and the Moroccans in an army, and they sacked the Songhai Empire. Songhai Empire, Timbuktu, Mali. One of their prisoners of war was this sheikh we just quoted, Sheikh Ahmadu Baba. And most of his writings that reach us and that people know about is what he wrote while he was in exile as a prisoner in Morocco. So that sheikh in one of his books is telling us that Black people who embraced Islam on the African continent have done so willingly without being forced by anyone. Why is this so important? It's important that not only we mention this quote who made the quote, and give more context to it, but that we teach African history as it relates to Islam in more details and regular basis in America, because it's affecting relations between Africans and African Americans. Because African Americans don't know history. They know make believe history that somebody that didn't speak no native African language told them. A lot of our well known history books of Africa of African history are written in Arabic. Tariq Sudan, Tariq Fatash, all of these books are written in Arabic. These guys don't speak no Arabic. They don't speak no Kiswahili. They don't speak no Mandinka. They don't speak no Wolof. They don't speak no nothing. They speak English, and they telling you about African history. And a lot of our people brought on to that, and so they come back here, and there's a lot of mushkil, a lot of problems, because they thinking that African culture and Islam don't got nothing to do with each other. And these people, most of these people, like here in Gambia, who you have, like we mentioned before, Mandinka, Wolof, Fulani. People been Muslim for 1,000 years. Literally, like, you know how in Islam, when we talk about the Salaf, we talk about, the first three generations. Some of these people, their families, their Islam goes back to the second and third generation of Islam. When you talk about the armies of some of the Sahaba, fighting the Europeans off in North Africa. You see, that's part of the lie. Part of the lie is that the Sahaba, the Arabs, right, came into Africa and forced people to become Muslim. But they conveniently omit the fact that the Romans were running Egypt and the rest of North Africa. And when the Sahaba came in, that's who they was fighting, and that's who they ran up out of there. And then some of the Sahaba dropped further south, and intermarry with the people. And this is how you get the beginning of some of the tribes like the Turabbe Fulani, the Mandinka not long after that. And this is literally during the time of the Salaf or the early part of the Khalaf, after the first three generations. So we as Black Muslims have to learn that history. We have to make this history everyday knowledge, in America, so that when Africans that are not Muslim want to come to Gambia, they have their mind on right, and not be repeating some Afrocentric slash Eurocentric inspired ideas. Now, how you gonna come to Africa to people how to become African, right? Like it didn't really make no sense. Cats coming over here talking about, we're gonna make libations to the ancestors. See, y'all don't know what y'all doing. Y'all got that Arab religion going on. No, you don't know what you're talking about. Y'all pouring out libations. We doing tawassum. You got it all mixed up. Allahu Akbar. Wahid. Panama, Costa Rica in the building. Allahu Akbar. I'm in on this work group FB. They say Christians and Muslims are brainwashed and were enslaved by the Arabs, and this is forced on Africans. Yeah, exactly. And usually they point to 2 or 3 different events that happen in history. And again, they, like, for example, one of the things that they talk about is what I just mentioned, the when the Sahaba went into North Africa, conquered Egypt and went to over across Algeria, Tunisia and Algeria, all of that. And they leave out the fact that who were the Sahaba fighting for the most part? They were fighting the Europeans, or what they changed in history, they call the Byzantines instead of calling them the Roman Empire. They revised history and started calling the Eastern Roman Empire the Byzantium. But Allah refers to them as Rum in the Quran. Their history, they refer to themselves as Roman during that time. It was only, further on in time, I forgot exactly what year, but where they rebranded themselves as Byzantiums. And I personally think they did that so that people that know history won't really see the impact of what Muslims did to them. But that's just my speculation. Uh, do Africans there know that history mentioned? No, most of them don't. Just like most of us don't. A lot of them don't know their history, just like most of us don't know our history. Like the average black person in America, they don't know nothing about slavery, ain't trying to know nothing about slavery. They think it's all bad, but you have to know where you came from to know where you're going. And not saying that our history starts with slavery, but it's a part of it for a lot of us. Can't just ignore it just because it's unpleasant. You're thinking of making a post. Do you recommend anything? Yeah, I recommend you do more than a post. You do a whole lot of posts. This has to be something that we do all of the time. We have to talk about it. We have to write about it. We have to discuss. We have to have panels on it, and it can't be just during February during Black History Month. And this is one of the reasons I'm doing videos like this, because it just can't be something that we talk about like in stiff, uptight intellectual sessions. It has to be part of our regular conversation. Uh, One of the biggest nationalist group cults that speak and teach against Islam is the so-called Afro-Hebrew Israelites. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That attempt to push this lie that Islam was forced on the Africans. Yep. And for some reason, they hate Muslims a lot. Like, they was real. I'm from New York. They're real heavy in New York. There's a lot of incidents where, they'll catch a Muslim sister and snatch a hijab off. Just like and let's got real violent a lot of times. They for some reason they just out of all other black people they hate Muslims. Are the people there actually believing these guys? I'm not sure who people there. You talking about the Americans that are coming here that believe the nonsense that a lot of these guys back in America told them? John Henry Clark pushed that narrative of the Muslim Arabs conquering Africa and then converted them. He was cool with Malcolm, but was a clown on that topic. Exactly. A lot of them were like that. My uncle is heavy on this. I need someone to talk to. I'm using this video, inshallah, because this topic just came up in the discussion. Yeah, man. Alhamdulillah. And there's, there are a lot of Muslims from America in Africa, in Gambia and other countries. Uh, I'm guessing for a lot of reasons, they're not like all the way out there and public and whatever, because a lot of times the best way to make sure that what you're doing, is successful is to keep it secret. That's why a lot of things I keep secret, at least to the last minute or what have you. And also, there's always challenges with internet here. Like the internet that we all have back in America is even the best internet here can't compare to back over there. So making a video is challenging out here. You go and pay. They pay way more for internet than we do. I'm talking about even when you take into consideration the 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 value of currency, they pay way more for data on their phones and internet in their houses than we do. Way more. Does the Muslims in Gambia follow a school of thought? Depends on where you go. Like, in the same way, like, subhanallah, I keep saying it over and over again because every day I see it's a reality. A lot of times the way I think about Africa is what you experience, like kind of like in the hood in America, but like on steroids and on an international level. The same way African Americans have been targeted with deviant methodology, the Africans have been targeted with deviant methodology. So if you go into the more populated areas, sometimes you might see a lot of the traces of the deviant methodology. But if you go back into the villages, you might see a little bit more tradition. So if I was just to say, yeah, they're Maliki, That would be partially truthful. Depends on where you go. And even when I say that, when I say Maliki, I'm not saying that everybody is studying fiqh and all that kind of stuff. No, they just practicing Islam the way they were taught in their family, which may happen to be Maliki. They might not even know who Imam Malik is, some of them, but you see their outward practice, they're Maliki. Are the Africans there believing that narrative that Arabs forced Islam on them? Nah, they don't believe that. And do they have Sufi orders? Definitely, definitely. Over here, it's real big because you got to understand if you're looking at me right now and if you don't have a picture of Africa in your mind, pull up a map of Gambia. If you look at Gambia, it's surrounded by Senegal. If you pull up, it's surrounded by Senegal. Gambia is this little sliver in the middle, and all around it is Senegal. And the one side that I didn't go around, that's the Atlantic Ocean. So when you think about Senegal, what do you think about? Tijani, you know, the different branches of the Tijani order, the Muridiya. So you have all of that here as well. They're really like one people. They just, the French got Senegal. The French got that area. They named it Senegal. The British got this area. They named it Gambia. But it's all really like one place. Whoever's in Gambia got family in Senegal, vice versa. So, it's all one people. Well, one thing I do notice is that whenever I talk to Gambians and it has to do anything with Senegal, you kind of like see their demeanor change a little bit. Like, like you got to watch them Senegalese, like they'll get you. It's kind of way like, like if you're from down south, you know, and you going to visit your family up north, they'll be like, tell you like, watch out up there, watch out for them city slickers. That's kind of like how they look at the Senegalese. Yes, Malik, there are Salafi bastions here. Yep. But just like in the hood in America, they're financed and funded. There's, you know, if you growing up, if you growing up with in a Maliki, and if you growing up in an Ashari Maliki uh, Sufi tradition, but at the same time you're uneducated. You just this the Islam that your parents taught you. That you grew up in, right? And then an institute that's funded by a government, let students come over. Same thing, just like in America. And these students get educated over there. Then they come back over here, and they're the plug for the Hajj. You know, they got the money to open up masjids. They got the money to open up schools, and everybody else is poor. That's what's going to happen. That's why we always talk about we got to put our money where our mouth is, because we are working against people that are well funded and organized on both sides of the Atlantic. There was a black philosopher who was Pan-African in a sense. He brought on his black Muslim friend to connect Africa and our struggle to pre-Islamic Arabia in a manner that show how Islam was a solution in Arabia and can be for us. Indeed. In a lot of ways, I was just thinking about this earlier. In a lot of ways, Africa, or at least Gambia, and countries like it, a lot of ways they were like the Arabs at the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, except that these Africans, I'm saying they had Islam already. There's a lot of similarities. Like here, you know, like like as opposed to different hot spots, like the Middle East is what they call the Middle East, just like one big hot spot. So the external enemies of the people always trying to uh, incite beefs and wars by highlighting differences between the people. Like in here, the Christians live in peace, Muslims live in peace. They cooperate with each other. You know, you don't have that issue. But in other places, yeah, the Saudis really push their agenda by sending students in all countries to the university and funding them when they get back home. Exactly. And the same thing, it's the same thing here. It's the exact same thing here. And even in America, like right now, a lot of us, we don't realize like the hypocrisy that's taking place in the prison systems in the United States. Like, think about it. What is American governmental foreign policy with regards to Wahhabis? They branded them as terrorists. They say that they're, terrorist organizations, and they, they, Al Qaeda, Boko Haram, ISIS. They say all of these things, whatever. And this is what their institute say. They're Wahhabi. They have the Wahhabi brand of Islam. This is what they say. And so, on one hand, these Wahhabis are the enemy to them. But on the other hand, in the prison systems, they got all the chaplain jobs, or most of them. Think about that. If they really thought Wahhabis were terrorists, why are you allowing them and paying them to be chaplains in prisons? Why? It highlights a point that we've always been saying. Okay, you created this boogeyman, and you use them to, use them as a web to catch up innocent Muslims in their rhetoric. And then you use that same boogeyman always to target black people to make sure that they don't get real Islam. So in one breath, they're terrorists. That's a terrorist methodology. But in the next breath, you don't have no problem paying them to teach so-called Islam in the prisons in North America. That makes no sense. But it makes sense if you understand the agenda, and you understand war, and you understand that we've been targeted for disinformation, and that we've been targeted, for deviance, because they don't want us to embrace real Islam. Because it's the Medkhali branch of the Wahhabiyya. The Medkhalis teach submission to the Saudi American government. It's not only that, because they know better than a lot of us that the source books of both branches is the same. And if you plant the same seed in different soil, if you plant an apple seed over here, oranges ain't gonna grow. If you plant the apple seed over there, grapes ain't gonna grow. Apple seeds is gonna grow. So if they're saying that teaching, that methodology promotes terrorism, they're teaching the same methodology. The only difference is that branch that you're talking about is just they keeping quiet on what they understand to be Tawhid al-Hakimiyyah. Because they've got this false, this Trinitarian Tawhid, this three onenesses, right? They got, oneness of Allah's lordship, oneness of Allah's worship, and oneness of Allah's names and attributes. But these other branches say it don't stop there at three. They got oneness of Allah's legislation. Only Allah has the right to legislate, right? They got the same belief. They just keep quiet about it. And they know that. So it's not like they're ignorant. They don't know the game that's being played. Both sides know what game is being played. But we have to know what game is being played, and we have to opt out of it. Do y'all have any questions? Did I miss something when the video went out? Is there something that y'all want to know? Yeah, one of the things I definitely wanted to mention was that quote from Sheikh Uthman, who, as we said, died in 1817, who he was in fact quoting Sheikh Ahmed Baba, who died in 1627, I believe, from Timbuktu, stating that the blacks never were forced to become Muslim by anybody. In other words, they accepted Islam without being forced by anyone. Any research references for us? Yeah. Uh, read the book Bayan Ujubu Hijra by Sheikh Uthman Dan Fodio. The PDF exists. I have it. I think I made it public. I forgot how. I think I made it public. But if I didn't, I will do it again, inshallah. It's English and Arabic. Don't skip the introduction. We're talking about especially the author's introduction, right? Because it has a lot of these things in there. Do the so-called woke people come there talking about Kemet and spirituality and what are the local price and what are the local price? Yeah, I don't like naming them, but yeah, you know, they come here talking all that, and but they talking it on YouTube to us. They're not talking that to people here, because most of the people that come here, the people type of people I'm talking about, they really don't have a lot of money, so they come here, they monetize their pages, so they're saying so they can get residual income. When you go to a YouTube channel and it's monetized and the commercial comes up, you watch the commercial, they get money for that. And so if you from America, you live in Africa where there really is no economy, any kind of residual money you get is good. And local prices, the stuff is very cheap. Like, for example, yesterday I posted a picture of some fruit that we brought, and it came to a little less than $9, and that was expensive. And I remember because it felt wrong. Something felt right. I remember getting a whole lot more fruit than that for way less than that. So I asked my wife. I said, "That's expensive, right?" It was a little bit. I think it was $435. This is their term for dollars, delicacies, right? So I said, "Huh." I said, "Okay." My wife is a thrifty person. I'm like, why did she buy it then if she knew it was expensive? And so I asked her, like, well, if you know it was expensive, why you brought it? And it's because my daughter, she wanted some fruit. And so she ain't want to like go around shopping for good price or whatever. So she just went to the first place she wanted that she could find and get some fruit for us just so that my daughter could be cool. It probably didn't help when my wife was getting the fruit, and I was like, "Yeah, we'll get some of them tangerines and get some of that too." Like the saleswoman probably heard my English and that probably helped jack the price up too. So just to give you an example, what I find here, most goods and services are way cheaper than America, but I think services are even more cheaper than the goods. I'll give you an example. Uh, a regular haircut with nothing extra added to it costs you 35 delicacies, maybe 50 the most. It's about 49, 50 delicacies make $1. So that means you get a nice haircut for less than $1. That's a service. Things that are like if you come here and you want to you want to just get American food, you want to buy pizza, you want to find burgers and all, you can get all that here. It's going to be way more expensive, and I think it's going to be even more expensive than America. I remember last time I came here, we got some pizza, and I was like, yeah, get extra large and all that. Extra large was about, I don't know, about 6, 7 inches in diameter. I'm like, I said extra large. And they're like, that is extra large. I'm like, it's fine. And the price was crazy. I'm like, man, y'all want to eat American food, man. So get all that. Askari, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would like to share some info on the multiple wives in different locations. Oh, please, go ahead. Alhamdulillah. So the delicacy is 50 to $1. Right. Of course, it fluctuates and stuff, and it depends on who you get your money transferred, through. But basically, yeah, that's a good good round number to, estimate what costs what or how much it is in the worth in American dollars. So that's a good round number. I may have missed the response when the live went off, but what preliminary steps would you recommend being taken to relocate your family? Visit first, of course, always visit. Don't, even if someone that you love, know personally, and trust comes here, you still need to get your feet wet yourself because they may have certain sensibilities that you may not have. Like, for example, they may like living a little bit more rough than you, or vice versa. So you don't know that. You got to come here first. No, they actually have pizza here. Because this, especially like we near almost kind of close to the tourist area. So, you got a lot of Europeans, especially a lot of Germans and people from the UK over here. So, you know, uh, they a lot of these restaurants caters to them. So they had that here. So you can live there like a millionaire with 100,000 US dollars. Depends on how you spend and what your taste is. With $100,000, depending on where, you could probably buy, like I said, depending on location, you can buy one house easy. Depending on location, two houses, maybe three with $100,000. Depends. It would have started a tribal war with me over the size of the pizza. Oh, in addition to that, but remind you, I forgot where they went to get the pizza that last time I was here. But a lot of these businesses in this area is run not by Gambians, and I don't remember exactly how. But again, this is another example of how a lot of places in Africa is just like the hood. A lot of foreigners are incentivized. They give an incentive to do business in Gambia, but the local Gambians aren't given incentives to do business in their own country. Just like in the hood, there's a whole lot of funding, loans, and grants that these different ethnic groups have access to open up their stores in our hoods in America that we don't have, but they're operating in our hoods. It's the same thing here. The multiple wives in different locations is going to put a strain on the relationship. So one should be moving towards having both wives in one location. Alhamdulillah. I can see that. With me, I don't necessarily agree with that 100%. I think it really depends on the women. A lot of African women, they are kind of used to not having their husband around all the time. Leaving? Alhamdulillah. For the rest of the night?
I think I'm going to tomorrow night.
All right, inshallah.
Yeah, it's making me sick here. The dry air.
The dryer? Hmm.
That's why I'm sick. Yes.
Oh, yeah? I'm trying to come over there and ball out. I need my own little village for my multiple families. Alhamdulillah. Let's see what Sakina got to say about that. Not totally different, but using a healthier grain. That's what I would like to do if I had the money here. Alhamdulillah. But usually it's that unhealthy stuff that makes stuff taste good. Our taste buds get acclimated and addicted to the stuff that's most harmful to us. Like, like in my opinion, no other sweetener is going to taste like that dangerous killer white sugar. You got to, but you got to train. If you're trying to be healthy, you got to train your taste buds. At first it's really hard, but then you'll get used to it. Don't tell Sakina. What if she's watching? Huh? Like I posted yesterday. Uh, I think some people misunderstood what I was saying or what I was asking. I was really trying to learn some history. I wasn't trying to lay blame or anything because we got a chicken. I think the day before yesterday, and my daughter expressed the fact that she wanted to slaughter the chicken. She ain't never slaughtered an animal before. So I was like, okay, cool, you can slaughter. So when it came time to slaughter the chicken, my wife was like, no. I'm like, what you mean no? She's like, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. No, women don't slaughter. I said, okay, I understand. My daughter's gonna slaughter though, right? She's like, no, like it was, and she's like, no, you don't do that, right? And so I'm like, are you trying to say something wrong Islamically for her to slaughter? And she ain't say nothing. No, just we don't do that here, right? Now I understand that. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with having that in your culture. That wasn't even my issue. My thing was, I already gave my daughter my word that she will slaughter. So, uh, so I didn't want to break my promise to her. So, alhamdulillah, I let her slaughter. But I wanted to see if anybody knows where that comes from. Not that it's good or bad or anything, just where it comes from, like the history, the read, because there's a reason behind it, right? That's the only thing I wanted to know. Like some people say, that's people's culture. You know, it ain't about halal and haram. I'm not saying that. I want to be educated. That's what I was trying to get at. I want someone to teach me the history. I get motivated by a thing when you educate me about it and give me the history behind it. That helps me appreciate uh, appreciate the thing a little bit more. People always used to people being judgmental. I'm not being judgmental. I just want to learn, right? And so one of my Gambian Facebook friends, he's Fulani. He said that his people told him that in their tradition is basically like taboo because if I remember what he said correctly, that if women get used to slaughtering animals, it's like kind of like a bad omen on giving birth to children or something. I gotta read what he said again, but it didn't sound like he was too sure. And so it's kind of like the same thing. There's a lot of stuff we do in America that the average person can't tell you the history about, but we do it. Like for example, I remember when I was younger coming up. Uh, it's time for Asha. Uh, when I was coming up, you could not find a barber shop open on Monday. Barbers did not open on Monday. Now I'm pretty sure somebody that's a barber can tell you the history and tell you why. I can't. I never looked it up. I just knew that back in the day, barbers didn't open on Monday. If you needed a haircut, you better. Well, back when I was younger, I don't even think barbers were open on Sunday, were they? And I think when I was growing up, most stuff was closed on Sunday. So maybe Saturday. If not, you were done off until Tuesday. I think now it's different. People open when they want. Outside of coronavirus. But that was part of the American culture. Barbers close on uh on Monday. What's wrong, Nana? What's wrong? What wrong? Uh-oh. It's my daughter. You better let her go. Uh, yeah, so that's all I was inquiring about, getting to know the reason why, the history, because you will appreciate it more. I forgot why I mentioned all Would you let someone come over there to study the deen? You find a good teacher, yeah. No sugar, no meat, maybe a little fish, a lot of fruit and vegetables. Indeed. How do you find land in Gambia? They got real estate brokers out here. I saw some West African Guinea hen, but they were raised and slaughtered at an American farm facility. By doing it cheaper to build there, depending on location, would it be wise to consolidate our money, purchase some land there, and develop communities there? I mean, anytime you put your money together, it's always cheaper because then you can buy things in bulk. You can buy open land in bulk, and we can subdivide it ourselves. So it's always cheaper. No, it's 501 here. He said first you go through the chieftain and then the real estate. Yes, but sometimes you may not know who the chieftain is. So maybe you going through a real estate broker and he walks you through all that stuff. But one thing I'm warning you against, and this is for me, I advise you, because you have a lot of people from the UK, a lot of people from America, and they've set themselves up as middle people. Okay, you trying to make hijra? Okay, you trying to repatriate? I'm already here on the ground, so you come through me and do that. Don't ask me who you talking about, because I don't know everybody, so I can't be talking about everybody. But the few that I know about, scandal, scandal, scandal. People are here right now, got people want them because of money that they took from them. See, if you don't know anybody on the ground, you're just dealing with that American person or that British person that you know or that you think you know. And they telling you, yeah, deal with us, we'll help you out. You don't know. You may be, that money that you send them to help your transition may be the money that they'll be living off for the next 2 years. It's because they work on Saturdays. I guess you're talking about the barbers. Recommended areas. Again, it depends on what you're trying to do. Me, I'm not trying to be like all up real close to all the tourist areas and all that. I want to be away from there. I don't want to see certain people every day. And but at the same time, I don't want to be 3 hours upriver either. Yeah, 5 o'clock, Asa. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dr. Strange, why did you move to Africa? I didn't necessarily move. I have family on both sides of the Atlantic. Uh, I have children here memorizing Quran. I have a wife and daughter out here. Group economics is the real way. In Sudan, you can buy straight out and in your name and not connected to any chief. Yep. Isn't Gambia a dangerous country? No, Gambia is one of the most safest countries. Gambia, there are no guns here. Like I give you an example. Like one time back in the States on Netflix, I watched because you know how in America we got Hollywood. In Nigeria, they got Nollywood. And so one time I watched a Nigerian movie. And because I watched that one Nigerian movie, all the recommended Netflix movies, a lot of them be Nigerian. So I'll be watching them sometimes. Man, if these movies are even 50% real, they be getting it in out there. Gunplay, murder, assassination, all types of wild, crazy stuff there. Remind you a little bit of America, right? But if you compare those Nollywood films to Gambia, it's like the complete opposite. Ain't no guns out here. The only people who got guns is like the military. The regular police don't even have guns. So the type of crimes that take place, you ain't gonna hear about a whole gang of murders and all kind of stuff. You're gonna hear about petty crimes, like somebody, you driving in your car and your cell phone is on your lap, and you go through a crowded area, somebody reach in the window and steal your cell phone and run. You're gonna hear about that kind of stuff. You're not gonna hear about too much gun and stabbing, and you ain't gonna hear about too much violent crime like that. He said close to the city costs more than the villages. Yep. But it seems like most people move close to the city for convenience. I give you an example. Like most people, just like in any traditional place, most people come from the villages. Like their family is in a village. If for whatever reason they move to the city, maybe for work or whatever, and you really notice it when it's time for Eid, because in the city area, you do the Eid prayer, right? Khutbah prayer. Then literally almost like an hour, no more than 2 hours later, it's like a ghost town. Why? Because everybody going back to the villages to spend time with their family. Nobody's in the city tourist area. Like a ghost town. It's outside city, but not too far out. Exactly. The police in Saudi is a joke. I was a guy here. I just want to keep your family safe. I mean. It's time for Asa. So I'm going to close this video out. Alhamdulillah. I hope it was beneficial. I'm going to try to come almost every day. If not every day, almost every day. Try to do some video. But, I'll still be posting. I'm on Facebook, as you all know. Uh, so I try to give up as much information and share as much game as possible. May Allah bless and protect all of y'all. I know, like the COVID, in the United States and in Europe. I think Europe is more ahead as far as their, many cases that they have. But leaving America, I felt like I was like, that movie Final Destination when stuff is coming at you and you trying to live, like, getting out of there was like, COVID test. You gotta show it to him. I show it to him. What's the requirements? I like, subhanAllah. I didn't even think, at one point I think it was a 50-50 chance if I was gonna make it all the way over there. Because different people got different requirements with regards to the testing. Because with the COVID testing, you got, I'm coming, with the COVID testing, you got about 3 different tests that you could take. And different people require different types of tests and stuff. So, subhanAllah. And I know America's shutting back down and everything like that. So, you're definitely in our du'as, inshallah. The people over here ain't really worrying about all that. And you have a case here or there, but like they're not really, it's not really affecting them like that. Even before the uptick and when it first hit, what you heard in the media was an exaggeration. The people here is like, all right. Like when I landed here, everybody in the airport got masks. But as soon as you step out the airport, ain't no mask. So, alhamdulillah, subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wastaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. I pray this is beneficial for y'all and stay safe. Don't abandon your common sense. Keep us in your dua. And if there's anything that we can do just for you all, let us know. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.